What's going on, everybody? How are you? How's everything? I got to pull y'all up on my screen over here. Make sure I can see y'all. All right. What's going on, DC in the back? More time. I see you. Carol, how you doing? What's going on, Komai? Aunt, what's going on, Evelyn? It's Taylor. Welcome back. We're back in the show, back in the swing of things. Got a lot of new things going on. You'll get a sneak preview of some of that today on what I'm looking at. A lot of distractions this week. A lot of distractions. Cassie Diddy. I could probably do a whole show on that. We could do a whole show on how many YouTubers covered the Cassie Diddy story and how much they're getting paid off of that. That's a whole show by itself. Um, the other part of that is people covering the whole thing with Chris Brown. And then there are two more big topics. The ones with was it in Philly, 18,000 new HIV cases. Of course, that also compounds onto the cases that are spinning up in Houston, right? STDs in Houston, and the 106,000 jobs lost by black women. I can go on. Now, the question is how much of that is going to help you next week? I'm just asking. I've seen the streams. I go in, I'll look at them for about 15, maybe 30 minutes. And after that, I'm like, it's just too much. I, it's just too much. I get the detail by detail, the blow by blow, but it'd be too much for me. I was like, well, had they decided on anything yet? That's what I was saying to myself. Like, had they decided on anything yet? What they gonna do now? All right. But I know one thing. I better not catch none of y'all in a puddle of baby oil. That's what I better not catch you in a puddle of baby oil. That's what I know. Don't let me see you out there tell my shibby doo doo. Don't let me catch you in a puddle of baby oil. You know when they said that about the baby oil, the first thing that came to my mind? I'm gonna tell you. The picture that I have in my head when they say baby oil is predator. No, Alien. In Alien when they alien come in and they be having the teeth and stuff and they don't be nothing but just dripping drool and stuff. That's what I think about the baby oil. Like, is it just dripping like that? I better not catch you out there. I better not catch now one of y'all now am walking around the conference and your baby oil fall on the floor. Don't let me catch you. Don't let me catch you. I ain't gonna talk about you. I'm just gonna be like, you got the baby oil out here like that? Mm, interesting. All right. I'm out here. I'm out here in these streets. All right. So, um, uh, as most of you probably already know about my mom passing away, you already heard about that. But what never gets talked about, or is the other side of this. Um, It's not the aftermath. I don't want to call it that 'cause it's not an aftermath. It's just a cleanup, right? It's just a cleanup of everything. So I am going to um, talk about um, what I've been doing, right, and what I've had to um, maneuver around and figure out, and then um, but first I want to talk about some other stuff first. All right, so on the screen, and I before I pull the screen up, I want to do this. I think it's 124. I think it's that episode. Let me go to the. I'm going to my Women in Linux show. Yeah, here it is, right here. Okay. Um, Let me bring this over. Okay, we'll go right there. We'll put it right there. All right. Yep. It's been 4 years, Dre. Yep. Yeah. It's one of the things. Like it's just something you're trying to figure out or whatnot. But we're gonna talk about it. So let's talk about it. All right. So first things up. Um, how many of y'all remember this pyramid here? I think it's big enough for you all to see. All right. I probably have to zoom in a little bit. Let me move this out my way. Mm, all right. And then move that down. So let's get that together there. All right. So this I actually presented in this show here. Um W2 multimillionaire. It's a master class. It's what I called it. It's really talking about how you can be a W2 millionaire and go from there. Let me kind of get into it. So I did this back in Colorado. All right. So I talked about it there. Trying to see. Okay, yeah. So we start getting into it right here. The spreadsheet right there. All right. All right. So why am I talking about this again? Because this is the foundation of where we kind of got started on. Like I said before, for me, just my own personal opinion. A lot of people are not going to agree with this. You guys are going to go out there and quote stats. I know the stats. I don't need the quote of the stats. I just need for us to learn how to change the stats, right? Um, Only 6% or 8% of black people make 100,000. You're asking us to make 200,000. And how do you think we're gonna do that in this economy? And what is that gonna look like for us? And if we make that kind of money, whatever, what is required for that partner to come to the table? Are you worth the 200,000? Like I hear all the conversation. Is she worth? If she want a man that's making 250,000, what is she bringing to the table? What is required? Don't she know a man making 250,000 and blah blah blah? I hear all the conversations. I just be wondering, like, what does a man look like making 250,000? Like, does he look a certain way? Because I think people got it in their head that if you make 100,000 or if you make 250,000, you look a certain way. Like they were like, "Oh, look at her curtains. There's no way she made 200,000. Just look at her curtains." And I was like, "Well, what's wrong with her curtains?" Like if you make 200,000 or 100,000, do you supposed to have Fendi curtains, or the curtains supposed to be looking a certain way, or like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But I hear all the conversations. So the question is, what are you going to do to change that conversation? How are we going to move the needle from 8% to 10% to 20%? How are we going to do that, right? That's where I'm focused at on the conversation. How do we change that? How do we make it so that way when we start talking about it, we're changing the conversation to the point of, hey, um, I have 15 people in my group that make 100,000, or in my network that make 100,000. I have 15 people in my network that make 200,000. I have 15 people in my network that make a million. Like, we should be able to have that conversation, and that conversation should flow freely. It shouldn't be You shouldn't be worried about, oh, that person over there making 2 million and I'm not making 2 million, so I can't be friends with that person. No, we don't. We're not doing that. We're gonna come to the table and we're gonna share. We're gonna figure out how we can make things, how we can grow your business or grow your skill set, move the needle, right? That's what we want to do. So this particular diagram that you see was something I came up with, something that I just over the years have learned, things and things that I wish someone had kind of pull me in, but it's hard for someone to pull you in when one they may be going through it, and then two, they may not have the knowledge, right? They may not have the knowledge. All right, so let's get back to it. So down at the bottom is going to calculate how much money you ever made. You can go to Social Security, you can calculate that. It'll tell you what you've made throughout your entire life, how much money you made. Attending Toastmasters, I put this on there because people need to learn how to talk, and you need to learn how to speak, and you need to learn how to sell yourself or sell your product, or better yet, learn how to listen. Right? And then we'll get into that another time. Term life insurance policy, pay off your high debt, set up your HSA, max out your 401k, set up a high yield savings account, and start prepping yourself for an emergency fund for a year. This is, to me, is your foundation. This is like you getting started, right? And then you'll move up after this. You'll move up after this. But to get started, this is, to me, where you need to be at to get started. All right. So now, once you get that out of the way, like, these are things you could do. None of this costs you any money in this first part. Calculating your How to calculate your how much money you made. The only thing that takes is time. Getting a term life insurance policy, you can do it through your job, and then you can do it outside your job, right? You should have something inside and outside your job. Attending Toastmasters, that should be free. Paying off high interest debt, you should be able to look at what you got and start plugging away at it. Setting up an HSA, you should have that at your job. Um, and maxing out your 401k, you should know how to do that. You should look and say, hey, if you know it's gonna break you, we got to be realistic about it. If you know if it's gonna break you, um, don't do it, right? And can we get my likes up? I only got 4 likes on here. Can I get my likes up? Come on now. All right. High yield savings account. That shouldn't cost you. If you got a Capital One or account or any of those other ones, you can go in and set up your high yield savings account. Emergency fund, you can use your high yield savings account for your emergency fund. That should not be that hard, right? Like, these are things you all can do. These are free. I mean, this is free. The only thing it's gonna cost you is time, but these are free. All right. The next one is where it's gonna start costing you is finding a location where you want to have an IRA set up at, and then finding the CDs, stocks, REITs, muni bonds, again, life insurance outside of work, finding a CPA or CFP, buying some land or a house, still continuing with your foundation and a will and a trust. That's going to take you some time. That's going to take you some research and some knowledge, but you don't know what you're looking for. So you don't know how do I find a CFP? How do I find what do I have to do to set up a trust? What do I have to do to set up a will? Remember, if you set up a will still goes to probate court. Still goes to probate court. All right. The next one up here is the three bucket strategy. That's just one of the techniques. There are several other techniques. Then attending masterminds, conferences, understanding different strategies, expanding your network. Again, this is going to cost you. It's going to cost you more than time. It's going to cost investment. It's going to cost research. It's going to cost you to build a network. It's going to cost you talking to people. It's going to cost you all those things. So again, when you're looking at this, you got to remember that this is again building upon building. We're building and building and building. All right. And then here, what we got up in here, right? When we start, hey, 200,000 minimum, becoming an accredited investor. They actually changed the accredited investor this year. I'll go over that probably not this time around, but I'll probably go over that next week because I got a whole lot of stuff to get to right now. And then alternative investments and again hitting your minimum for retirement of 2.5 million. I didn't say what age that is though. This 2.5 million can happen at 40, it can happen at 50, it can happen at 60, it can happen at 75. You tell me what your goal is, how you're going to get there, right? If you follow any of the financial advisors, I go and look at all of them. How to retire with 500,000, how to retire with 750,000. If you're 50 and retiring at 500,000, if you're 75 retiring with 2.1 million or something like that. I look at all of them to come up with like what is the best scenario? What is the best game plan, right? So when we're looking at this, everybody does two things in life that they do that they wish for. One of the biggest things is housing. People wish to pay off their house. The next one is they wish to pay off their car. And if they got kids, get their kids through college. Right? Those are the three major ones that people usually are paying for or putting out there that need to get done, right? Let me check my lights. Let me check my lights. Hold on. Check my lights. Got 43 people watching. We got 25 lights. D, drop me. Just drop me. Put me backstage till we get the lights up, D. Just to put me backstage, D, till we get the lights up. Get the lights up. That's all. You can leave me back. You could have left me backstage, D. I don't know. We in this era now. Man, get them lights up, man. Come on. Yeah, I know if y'all can sit up there and listen to Tessa and Chronicle speak and Anton and them talk about all this other stuff, and we over here talking about money, like the little boy say, I'm all about my money. We getting money over here. Man, get them lights up. That's all we asking. I ain't I'm gonna be like D. I'm gonna start being like D. Get the lights up and we just stop talking, D. We just stop talking. What's going on, Don? What's on more time? Let me check. Let me see if we sufficient here. All right, we got some creepers in here. That's all right. Bring me back up, D. Let's get going. All right. So um on this is where we're pushing like people like my message hasn't changed. I've always been 200,000 as a minimum. This ain't changed. This is nothing new. This is not a new conversation. I haven't changed that conversation. We should be talking about 250, but I'll be nice and just keep it at 200, right? All right. So going forward for the earners, this is a sneak preview for the earners, right? Um, I know we've been lacking on y'all, right? right? We've been lacking on y'all, and I apologize for that. So for you, I've been putting together this new class, this new structure, and then I'm gonna break it all down for you as a sneak preview today. You guys gonna check it out. All right, so here we go. I've been working on this Linux millionaire mindset, right? One was the W2 multimillionaire, right? That's Dutch W2. But now we're going to talk about wealth accumulation. This is going to be for the earners, wealth transfer, skills for higher paying jobs, networking, branding, company picking. I'll probably change that name, and asset protection and collecting, right? This is strictly for the earners. I'll probably pop this off with wealth transfer first. I have a lot of content for that, just things I've researched just based on my own situation as well. Um, these are the things that we're talking about, and I'm not talking about them from a. Somebody said they can't hear me. Can y'all hear me? Let me know, cause I think y'all can hear me. I don't know. I ain't on mute. Hold on. I can tell you if you can hear me or not. Yeah, I can hear. I can hear. All right. So, um, wealth accumulation again, wealth transfer, skills for higher paying jobs, networking, branding, company picking, and if you look at that this one right here, episode 124, I get into that there a little bit, but a lot really, but even more so now. Asset protection and collecting, right? So we're we're gonna dive off into this um um in our earners classes with wealth accumulation. Do you be scheduling these out? And so we'll go through that. So with that being said, it's a fundamental and so forth. I want to pull up one more thing. So I have my own meetings with my wealth advisors and insurance guy as well too. Um, one is with New York Life. This one is from New York Life. Oh, that's not coming in good. Hold on. Oh, it came in pixelated. Oh no, let me see. It looks a little better there. Hold on. All right, so basically, this is your again. If you look at this house that they have right here, I've given you your foundation, and we're gonna build this house. Right, we're gonna build this house, but we're gonna build it. We're gonna put things in it. We're gonna put furniture in there. We're gonna have people visiting. We're gonna have to protect this asset. We're gonna have to grow this asset. There are things that we have to do to do this. This is just I'm not saying that your house is what this is. I'm just saying you have to treat looking at your money and looking at your life and your lifestyle as this foundation, right? All right. So one of the big things, right? It says start with protection in mind first. Mindset to establish a strong foundation for your financial house in coordination with other professionals. So again, what does your financial house look like, right? And this is me going taking just a screenshot from my own stuff, right? I'll incorporate some of this stuff in the earners, but I just want to give you all some thoughts out there that those are not who are not earners and probably won't be attending those. Here is what it could look like as well too for yourself. All right. All right. So as you see, a common thing, having an emergency fund, monitor your credit, have healthcare coverage, protect assets and valuables, disability income protection. Say you get hurt uh, all away from the job. Do you have disability protection at the job and outside of the job? Like insurance to cover that, right? Long term protection, life protection, right? And now, see, this is all under protection here. Like I say, I'm gonna dive off into a lot of this inside of the earners. Okay, accumulation, like save for retirement, save for education expenses, save for a large person purchase. But there's also another thing about saving for retirement. It's not just saving for retirement, it's also saving for right now, right? Which is a part of that accumulation, right? And then preservation here is living comfortably, leave a legacy, and fund a charitable giving. That's for preserving your money. Like, how do you preserve all these things, right? Leave a legacy. Legacy doesn't necessarily have to be having a child. It could be establishing a scholarship. It could be establishing some type of nonprofit. It could be establishing something that commemorates what you want, right? So that is what that is. You could set up a fund. You could set up a nonprofit. It's still so many different things that you could do when we're talking about this, and then being able to live comfortably. Now, these are the things that I go through when I talk to my guy at New York Life, which I did yesterday. So that's one aspect. Then there's another aspect when you're talking to like your financial advisors, or wealth managers, I should say, when you start getting into, hey, are you setting yourself up for failure or success? Meaning, if you want to go make this purchase, what does that look like? How does that affect your how does that affect you in the long run? Are you gonna meet your goal for this year? Like, I have goals, right? I let you in on my goals. Um, One of the big things that some of my friends and I talk about is we should always have at least, at a minimum, $100,000 in cash ready to go at any point in time. That is. Hey, I gotta pick up, and this is really more evident in, say, the fires that happened in California, and then the hurricanes that happened last year when they came back to back, right? So, with that being said, catastrophic event, hurricanes come through, Milton, wipe out your house. You don't have everything in your house is gone. Only thing, and including your cars. Where do you live? Where do you have? Where do you live? Do you have money? Like, to get up out of here, right? Let's be realistic here. To get up out of Florida probably could cost you $1,000 easily during that time. Why you say $1,000, Tamika? Because I'm thinking about the gas money that you have to get, the gas money that you have to have. You're getting on the road, you're traveling. Not only traveling, you may want to spend the night at the hotel because the traffic is so bad. You want to get out of the way of the hurricane because the traffic is so bad. So you got all those things that you have to be held accountable for when it comes to that, right? We had to stop and pull over because we had packed all day. Here's another thing where hotel points come into play. Another thing about being able to have rewards and book, and you just like, oh, you that member? Oh, okay, yeah, we got something for you. Yeah, right. So those things matter. As much as people like to think they don't matter, they do matter, right? So again, being able to have that emergency if you had to get up out of here. Um, Another one is if your insurance company decides to drop you, they say, hey, we're gonna pay for your repairs, but we're gonna drop you. And now your rates go up sky high, your insurance rates is up, your taxes is up. You may need to make a move. You may be like, look, we got to get up out of here. So that means you may need to get another job in another city. You may need to move. You may need to, they may not give you a sign on bonus. They may not give you any moving help. Can you make those things, right? Can you make that jump? Put a one in the chat if you're keeping up with what I'm saying. All right, so that's that. So in my research today, really all week, I was thinking, I was reading through some stuff, and I was like, oh, I never knew this. So I'm gonna share this with you. All right. So one is how to protect your retirement from lawsuits, right? So you get more protection in your 401k from lawsuits than you do from your IRA. And then you need to look at each individual state to see how they're doing protection, right? We knew about 401k, right? We knew if I come to the table with a 401k, he comes to the table with a 401k, we get married, we have a union. The growth in my 401k after marriage, he's entitled to. The same way I'm entitled to his 401k growth after marriage. Is whatever it was before we got married, that's mine. But the growth of that after marriage, the accumulation, the making up a word, the doubleation of my 401k after marriage, he is entitled to. She is entitled to. So how do you protect yourself, right? How do you protect yourself? All right, so one of the things you can always do is get a prenup, but you can also understand the laws and how to protect yourself. So I went and looked into this a little bit more on it. So let me pull this up here, get that out of the way, and then let me blow this up. All right. So workplace defined contribution plans and IRAs are vital for growing your money. Remember, your on your IRAs there are income limits on those. So non-traditional IRA, because you remember we're talking we're talking you're making over 200,000. You can't do you can't do some of those one of the IRAs because you make too much money, right? So we got to remember we're doing non-traditional. So remember that, right? Always be paying attention, because if you start making a certain amount of money, they can penalize you if you make too much money for that particular IRA. And the last thing you want to do is give Uncle Sam some money because you didn't pay attention to details. All right. All right. So the IRAs are vital for growing your money tax deferred until you withdraw your savings at a later date. Hopefully, this is when all of the hard work pays off while you're laying on the beach somewhere, reaping the benefits of a tax deferred savings plan. Remember, you can have tax deferred. You have a Roth side, right? You have a Roth side that is tax pre-tax. Well, let me get it right. A 401k that is pre-tax and then after tax. So you can do both, right? You can contribute to both, right? All right. So let me give these takeaways right here. Retirement accounts such as 401ks and IRAs offer tax advantages, and asset protection. But the level of protection varies by state and the account type. That's the other part people don't talk about. All right. Even I don't see a lot of people talking about this on a lot of these different ones when it comes to your TSP and your 401k. I don't hear those conversations. Right. The employer sponsored retirement plans like the 401ks are federally protected under ERISA, Azari, or ERISA. I guess you say that. Whereas IRA protections depend on state laws, making them more vulnerable to lawsuits, right? So you can have an IRA, but the state, you need to look at the state and see how the state protects that. So those that may be going into a union or marriage or divorce, you may want to know how your IRA is protected, right? All right, so business owners and professionals in high risk fields can benefit from asset protection strategies such as your LLCs, your trust, and malpractice insurance to safeguard your retirement savings. Certain legal structures including irrevocable trust, and I kind of mentioned this before earlier this year. The Spendthrift Trust. Spend Spendthrift Trust. I'll probably go into that right now. Doing this live. I don't know. Let me see. Let me get through this. But there are trust, and then there's a spendthrift trust. All right. And thank you, E Brown, and thank you for taking notes. Right. All right. So, they can help protect your retirement funds from creditors, and especially in estate planning. Right. And then updating your beneficiary designations and so forth. All right. So let me pause right there and let me pull up spendthrift for you real quick. Real quick. Let's go to Nerd Wallet, and then we'll get back over there. All right. So let me blow this up. Yep. There's also post nuptials as well. Yep. It said, "What's the difference between a spendthrift trust and a regular trust? Alternative spendthrift trust examples and so forth." So let me minimize that, close that, get that out of our way. All right. That looks big to me, but I'll there we go. That look a little better right there. All right. All right. A spendthrift is a person who is a wasteful or reckless spender. A spendthrift trust is a trust that lets the beneficiary receive certain assets only if they meet specific conditions. Solid steps to wealth. Thank you. Gifting memberships to folks. 50 get y'all better get these memberships. I'm telling you, once I drop this stuff for the earners, you gonna wish you had a gotten on that. You gonna wish you had gotten on that. All right. Thanks, solid steps to wealth. I see you. All right. So now it says the spendthrift trust helps ensure that beneficiaries can't squander their inheritance, and they can also protect assets from creditors. Right. So let's say, for instance, um, I hop up out of here today. I leave 4.5 million to my family, and each person is bound to get at least $100,000 a piece. Now the question is, do I want to give them $100,000 a piece in one lump sum? Do I want to take that 4.5 million and spread it out over time? Because here's the other thing that comes up. Let me pull this back up over here. This wealth transfer has tax implications underneath it. That wealth transfer has tax implications underneath it. So your beneficiaries may get hit with the wham wham. And that wham wham may be, hey man, you just inherited $100,000, and now you got the wham wham, right? More time. Thank you for sending out that for sending out the membership. We appreciate y'all, right? So the you have to think about all these things if you're doing wealth transfer, asset protection, all of this, right? Don't leave it up to your beneficiaries to figure it out. Because I mean, let's be honest. If we're gonna be honest, let's be honest. How many people here have inherited $500,000 at one time, or inherited $100,000 at one time, right? One day you working, and then somebody give you a phone call, hey, such and such passed on, and they left you an inheritance. We need to sit down with you and go through the paperwork, blah 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 blah. When will you be available, or can we meet you somewhere? And you go sit down, and they say, okay, well, we're gonna give you, they left you $500,000. Where do you want us to send that money to? Cut a check, this, that, and you like, wait a minute, hold on now. Wait a minute, hold on now. Because everybody has this propensity. Don't get it twisted. If I gave everybody in on this live today $100,000, I'm I'm betting 75% of y'all gonna spend it. There'll be 25% that save. Put in the chat what you would do if I gave everybody on this live $100,000 right now. Right? What you gonna do with that 100,000? Right? Are you gonna be a spendthrift person? Are you gonna be a spendthrift person? Are you gonna invest? Right? So these again protecting protecting wealth, right? We really have to be mindful of all of this, right? We got to really be mindful of this, right? Because I know everybody going, I know people gonna ball. You can't tell me somebody ain't gonna take. You might get $100,000. You can't tell me somebody is not gonna take at least 25,000 and pay off some debt. Another 25,000, you about to go ball. You gonna go on a. You gonna go on a trip. You gonna go. You gonna go do some things you ain't never did before. It's just what it is. See, invest half, save half. See, why not invest all for a year and then spend it next year? Let the investment grow for a year and then spend it next year. Right? I just know that's just what we're gonna do. Right? And there's nothing wrong with it if that's what you want to do with it. But don't complain on the back end. Like, dang, had I known, man, dang. Right? Had I known, man. Yep. Let it grow. All right. So, spendthrift, a spendthrift trust, and we're gonna get back to our other reading of this other stuff. But we go. Let's get some things understood here. All right. So, spendthrift trust helps ensure the beneficiary can't squander their inheritance. They also protect assets from creditors. Rather than allowing the beneficiary to receive a lump sum, the trustee releases the money incrementally, right? The grantor, the person whose assets are funding the trust, sets the conditions under which the beneficiary can access the trust assets, right? I'm trying to help you from balling. I'm so tired of balling, right? Right? I'm just trying to look. I'm trying to protect you from the grave. I'm trying to protect you from the grave, right? People gonna cry. Yeah, Sasha, they gonna cry when it's all gone. 150,000. I got some friends right now. Says one of their friends passed away, left the kids $150,000. Said it was gone in 3 months. Gone. 150,000 gone in 3 months. And let me tell you, 150,000 could be gone in a day. Go buy a car. Go buy a car. Let me see, is it out there? Let me see if she's still out there. Let me see if she's still out there. See what they're gonna do with her. They probably got rid of her. Let me see if she's still out there, people. Mm-hmm. Like they came down on that. That was 203. Ain't nobody buying a Cayman like that. They're gonna have to come down a little bit more. They got 2021 Bentley out there. They still got that AMG. 127, they holding it strong on it, y'all. They're holding strong on her. The holding strong. Told you, I spent $100,000 in a blink of an eye. In a blink of an eye, she could be gone. 100K gone. Porsche. You want a Porsche? Want a Range Rover? Want an M4? Want an SRT? You probably talk 'em off this SRT. Don't drive it in Atlanta though. You might get carjacked. Let's see what else they got down here. I'm looking at anything less than 100. SL55, the Defenders, the Yukon Denalis, Defenders, so forth. Right? All this can be yours for 100,000. I give you 100,000 right now. I'll show you how you can spend it in 5 seconds. 5 seconds. All right. You need the 63 GT AMG. Yep. A 4 bathroom brownstone in Brooklyn. Yeah, you got to flip that 100K. That's why I say leave it in the bank for a year. Or not the bank, but a brokerage account, or put it in a high yield savings account if you want to be conservative. Yeah, she don't want no puppy. She want a big dog. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Hey man, don't give me no car. It sounds like a sewing machine. I ain't gonna even drive it. I ain't gonna even lie to you. I got it bad. If it sounds like a sewing machine, I ain't driving it. E- Even D won't drive sewing machines now. D won't even drive sewing machines. If it sounds like a sewing machine, she ain't driving it. Trying to tell you. All right, so rather than leaving on my lump sum, you sprinkle me, man, over time. Just sprinkle me over time, right? All right, so spendthrift trust can be especially useful if the beneficiary is not mature enough to make wise spending decisions. Some of you are not mature enough to make wise spending decision, and it has nothing to do with age. Some of you need to protect yourself from yourself, right? Impulsive with money. In heavy debt at the risk of going into heavy debt. Easily fooled or defrauded. Listen, fellas, don't Shannon Sharp yourself. Listen, fellas, don't Shannon Sharp yourself, okay? Mm, Don't Shannon Sharp yourself, okay? 25,000 for each cake, 50,000. I'm giving you 100. You about to go spend 50? Why? Cause she want a big dog. You a big dog. She about to run through that 100. That 100 gone. Skip, Skip. Kept calling me Skip. Skip, did you see a Skip? Skip. Easily fooled or defrauded. Shannon Sharp need a spend trust. He need a spendthrift trust. That's what it's Skip. Suffering an active addiction that might cause excessive spending. A child with functional needs and eligible for SSI involved in or at risk of getting a divorce, and employed in an industry where lawsuits are common. Creditors typically can seize trust assets to pay settlements. So if you want to protect your children or your wife or your husband, and you know that they got a propensity to go spend, put that money up in a trust and sprinkle them along the way. Okay? Baby, hey, fellas, stop letting these women record y'all. And ladies, y'all stop letting them record y'all too. What's wrong with y'all? You want the baby gravy? All right, how does a spendthrift trust work? A spendthrift trust is a separate legal entity with three major elements: a grantor, a beneficiary, a trust. Okay, so the grantor is the person who creates the trust. I create the trust. The beneficiary is whoever, right? Me, you, what? I mean, not me, you, but whoever I deem, right? And then the trustee is the person who manages the trust in accordance with the terms of the trust. You may be able to appoint yourself as trustee, but if you do, you'll need to appoint a successor trustee who could take over after you pass away or become incapacitated, right? So you have to remember these things. And you also have to remember these things when you get that power of attorney and that person is in the hospital and they haven't named a successor, right? They having a name a successor trustee, right? You want to get that beforehand. Make sure all your paperwork is on the up and up. Take your old baby mama off of your off of your beneficiary, being your beneficiary at your job. Take your baby daddy off of being being your emergency contact, right? Some of y'all got to find some friends. Some of y'all don't even have friends. The only person y'all got is your baby mama and your baby daddy. Y'all gotta find y'all some friends. Unc was sitting down. Unc was sitting down. He was sitting down. He knew what he was doing. He was not under the influence. All right. What's the difference between a spendthrift trust and a regular trust? All right. The main difference between a spendthrift trust and a regular trust are in the trust wording, the timing of the funds access, and the protections from creditors. Right. A spendthrift trust contains a spendthrift thrift clause, the also known as a spendthrift provision. The spendthrift clause designates the trust itself as the only owner of trust assets rather than automatically transferring ownership to your beneficiary when you die. The terms of the trust explain exactly how and when the trustee release the funds to your beneficiary over time to schedule you to a schedule you create. Right. So if you know you got somebody that you about to leave $100,000 to, and they ain't, and then you know they not savvy with the money, they ain't good with the finances, son. They ain't good with the finances, my G. You know they about to go out here and spend on 25,000 on each cake, my G. You know they about to be up in strokers. You know they about to be valeting everywhere. You know they about to go spin. You're about to, right? So you need to make sure that you set up protections, provisions in that spend trust, right? Spend thrift trust. So that way you don't have to worry about if they trick off a little bit. Give them a little trick off money. Tricks gonna trick. Okay? Tricks gonna trick. Give them a little trick off money. Give them 10,000 to trick off. The rest, you keep it for yourself. Right? Keep it and let them go over time. Like if I give you this money, you can only go use this as a down payment for a house. Tricks gonna trick. Tricks ain't for kids, they for adults too. Look at Shannon Sharp. Tricks are not just for kids, they're for adults too. right? It's a tricky situation out here. All right, so you get to control how it's spent, right? Creative timing. You can limit the beneficiary's access to funds. The trust can transfer fixed amounts on fixed dates, for instance, or you can allow the beneficiary to draw up to a certain amount of money from the trust at certain times. You can even design exceptions for emergencies, right? So again, when we're talking about designing exceptions for emergencies, spend thrift, so forth. Hey, emergency do arise, but you don't want this person running through 100,000 in 5 minutes or even a year, maybe. You may want to spread that over time, right? So it also says potential creditor protection. Although assets in spend-thrift trusts are often safe from creditors, there are a few exceptions to be aware of. Child support obligations, alimony, federal tax liens, creditors with enforceable court judgment against the beneficiary, and trust income that's higher than the beneficiary needs for support. I'm not sure what this is. Trust income that's higher than the beneficiary needs for support. I'm not sure what that means. I will have to talk to someone on that one. All right, alternatives to spendthrift trust or living trust, which is the person's funds in increments while you're still alive. You can act as a trustee and make the scheduled disbursements yourself. So here's an example. So here's some examples. All right. So Miriam is 95 years old and wants to leave her entire estate worth 450,000 to her beloved nephew Kyle. God damn you, Kyle. Old great nephew Kyle. Although Kyle is mature and responsible, Miriam doesn't want to give him access to his inheritance all at once. Kyle is still carrying massive medical debt from a major emergency surgery that he's fighting with his health insurance company to cover. With it unlikely that the insurance company will ever pay out, the creditors constantly hounding Kyle, Miriam decides to create a spendthrift trust that gives Kyle a monthly allowance of $3,000. This would give Kyle enough to make his life more comfortable as he recuperates, but it will also protect the bulk of the estate from creditors, while because whatever remains in the trust is considered a trust asset, not Kyle's personal property to garnish. So let me go back over here. When we talk about wealth transfer, I'm going to get more into this from my own personal standpoint, but things I think you all need to be aware of. This is just one example with the Spendthrift Trust, right? This is just one example, right? And then here they're going into another example, and they said, "What if I change my mind?" Spendthrift trust can be revocable, meaning they can be modified at a later date, or irrevocable. So you could change that. And then they talk about the advantages, and then they also talk about the disadvantages. I'm going to give you this because I want to get back to my other article that we were walking through, but I just wanted to put some things in your mind on when we're talking about spendthrift trust and so forth and so on. So let me get this to D and D can post it. One let me post there, D. It says something. This comment has been filled to post, blah blah blah. All right, so one let me post there. All right, so let's get back to our article. All right. So how we got there to spendthrift? If we got there from protecting the protections that some of the states have, LLCs, 401ks, and IRAs. That's how we got here. All right. So let's get into this one. All right. So getting sued is just one of those life events that no one plans for. However, like divorce or the loss of a loved one, unfortunate events often have huge financial implications. The best way to deal with this to deal with the prospect of this negative situation is to protect yourself from potential pitfalls in advance. Nothing worsens a situation than a blindsided hit where your assets can be taken from you, along with the emotional burden of the circumstance. For those late in their careers, a lawsuit could potentially wipe out your retirement savings. So here's the other thing too. You guys got to learn how to start protecting your own assets that you have accumulated, even outside of the trust and so forth. Meaning, if you know it's a bad decision to go to this club, then don't go to this club. If you know this location has a chance of having a fight break out, start protecting yourselves. Like when you start going and looking at your just again, go back and calculate how much money you've made over the years. Calculate your how much your house is worth, or your townhome, or that commercial real estate or lot. Go back and look at for some of you all, and this is gonna be a hard thing to do because I had problems with it. And I wish I would have did it differently. And I knew I should have did it differently, but I didn't. Had that conversation with your parents about your inheritance or what's coming down the pipe, right? Because here's the thing: the more you know up front, the better. And here's what I'm talking about. So had I known, I just would have went ahead. Um, I just would have went ahead and just paid off my mom's house, and then just did the quick claim deed on that. But I did attempt to do the quick claim deed. Here's the problem: in Georgia, you have to give a description of the house, and you also had to have a plain witness. But I didn't know that, right? And when the lady came out for the notary to sign everything, we signed everything, but they denied it because we didn't have a plain witness and a description of the lot. But I could have had all of that. Could have had all that taken care of. But let me tell you one reason I didn't do it. Well, several reasons. But the first reason was I was scared. I was scared. Um So when people are going through their I don't want to say their final days, when they're sick, the first thing they think about is somebody trying to steal what they have. And I never wanted to be in a situation where my mom thought I was stealing from her, right? I didn't want to be in a situation where she thought I was taking her money or whatnot. So every transaction I did, everything I did, I did it, and I went down and sat down with her and said, "Here's what I did. Here's what I did." And so she could see for herself things were done because she was worried about her bills being paid. She was talking to some of her friends and some of the family, like, "You think Tamika gonna be able to take care of all of this? You know, she gonna be able to take care of all my bills and stuff like that. I don't want to be put out on the street. I don't want to be put out on." She was worried about her bills being paid because my mom used to get up every day, or every when it was time to pay bills, she would get up and go pay them herself, like physically go pay them, like physically drop a check in the mail and so forth. So she was worried about, if I was gonna be able to. I'm like, I ain't driving around doing all that. We just gonna get online and knock that out. But I say all that to say is, um, having the conversation with your parents, or your mother or grandmother or whoever, is a hard conversation. Um, a lot of parents and a lot of them don't want to take the time to have that conversation with you about, hey, we know that this is coming up, and we know that death is a thing. It happens. But we need to prepare ourselves as siblings, as children, on what you want to do, where you want to be buried at, what colors do you want? Is there a favorite song you want to have? Um, is there a particular cemetery you want? Like, what does that look? What does that look like? Right? And oftentimes people do not want to have that conversation, so you gotta kind of slide in when you can, because that conversation is so hard for them and it's hard for you, because you're looking at them like, damn, they may not be here, right? So I gotta figure out what I gotta do. I have a couple of friends right now that are going through it with, and they have siblings, so it's even harder because the siblings don't want to have that conversation. And so then you have the other ones that, uh you are your own. Like, I was the only child, so I had to, figure it out. Luckily, a lot of things are um easier now than they were before, right? They're easier now than what they were before. So having a way to have the conversation about wealth transfer, asset protection, um, even for you. When I say you, I'm talking to you in the audience right now. You need to be thinking about, how do you protect your own assets right now? How do you protect? How do you? What does wealth transfer look like for you? Transferring wealth and then receiving wealth. You need to have that conversation too. You also need to have the conversation of, like, okay, the job that I'm choosing, how does it line up with where I want to be in the future? When I say that, you guys are gonna look at me crazy and say, Tamika, what are you talking about? But I'm literally talking about, how do you look at a job and how does it line up with what your retirement, or what your future should look like, or what you want your future to look like. In other words, if you know that you're gonna get a job and it's gonna pay you 200,000, what does the 401k look like? What kind of benefits do they have? What are those? How do those benefits get you to the next level? What skill sets do you need? Everything that I talked about on here is just it is the skill sets, it's the wealth accumulation, it is the networking, it is the branding, it's picking the company. Do you align with what they're talking about? Can you stay there for 4 years or 5 years? Right? Can asset protection and asset collecting. I want to want to pull that out. I want to really magnify that. Asset protection and asset collecting. Those are two different things that people do not talk about. Asset collecting, and they do not talk about asset protection, because we so focused on asset collection is just real estate, and it's not. It is not just real estate. It's your stamp collection. It's your coin collection. It is that antique that's out there. It's that gold. It's that silver. It is also that land that you may have. That land that you may take and flip and do something else with it. Which brings, I'm gonna get to this, but I wanna pull this up because I had it out here, because I wanted to review this, and I'll probably have to go back and start doing my after hours on this. But this right here. This is what one of the ones I wanted to talk about, but I know I ain't gonna have time to do it. But I probably do an after hours show right here, where the lady took an acre. She took an acre of land and she turned it into a 3.5 million tiny home resort. Right? Asset collection. I want to collect assets. Some of you don't need to go out here and make YouTube channels. And I heard the report from Bloomberg. I think it was Bloomberg, Fortune, that said that YouTube creators is going to double by 2027. Right? YouTube creators, content creators is going to double by 2027. Right? But again, a lot of y'all want to go out here and create YouTube channels versus going buying YouTube channels. collecting. I ain't gotta go create something. I can go buy it, right? I can go buy it. I can go start a fund and roll that up under a fund where I have a fund. Some of you out here want to be plumbers, and I keep saying all the time. Everybody's like, "Oh, the trades is taking off, and black men need to get in trades. They don't need to go to college." Stop saying that. I already told y'all about that. Not going to college. Here's the thing: why you going? Why you going out there to be a plumber when you can go buy the plumbing business? People that own car washes don't wash cars. People that own car washes don't wash cars. Who told y'all you had to be, if you want to own a plumbing business, you had to be a plumber? Who told you that? Listen, we got to start. It's a mindset shift. You got to shift that, man. Hey, man, we too, like I said, we too broke to argue, but at the same token, we on some other shit right now. We on some other shit right now. Like, who told you in order to be a plumber, to own a plumbing business, that you got to be a plumber? Who told y'all that? Snack machines, vending machines, mobile car washes. I brought that up to y'all not too long ago, where the people, they own a mobile car wash, and they bought a mobile car wash business, and then once they bought their mobile car wash business, they opened up another one. They bought another one in another area. They just set the blueprint on what they wanted to see and what it looked like and how to advertise. You gotta be a, I told you. Well, I tell y'all all the time, you're gonna either be a worker or you're gonna be a builder. Maintainer or a builder. You either gonna be a maintainer or a builder. Solid steps to wealth. I don't know. Hey, you know better than me. Buy the business. It just made sense to me. Why buy the business? I can buy the business and we could put some people in there. We could train them up. Solid steps to wealth got a whole training program. Buy the business. I ain't gotta turn a wrench. The only wrench I'm turning is the one that when I walk in the bank. Is it? That's all my hand gonna do. Sliding the check over. Slide it over. That's all I'm doing. Y'all gotta shift your mindsets around here. It's cool. I'm with it. I'm listen. I'm with it all day and all night. I'm with it. I am with the shenanigans all day and all night. However, I'm also about building wealth and asset protection. Easy money, what's going on? These headphones, I don't know what you consider expensive. I don't know. Is it anything over $100? Is that considered expensive? Because these are not over 100. All right. So retirement accounts have additional benefits apart from well-known tax advantages. This is excellent news for most Americans. All right. So let's get into here. The retirement plan should first and foremost, you make sure you don't owe any child support or taxes to the IRS. This will open up your accounts to lawsuit. Domestic relation lawsuits will lift IRA protections anywhere you reside within the country. If you owe if you owe taxes, let me put this back up, D. Oh, I can't do it, D. Can you pull the screen back up? It says if you owe taxes to the IRS, your retirement assets may be fair game, just like any other assets that can be seized from your settlement. Um, asset that can be seized from you to settle the unpaid debt. Hey D, can you bring the other screen back up, please. Thank you. The federal government will not change any rules associated with the minimum withdrawal rules in case of the lawsuit, and will charge a 10% early withdrawal, so forth. In the event of private creditors, so forth and so on. However, blah 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 blah. Local. All right, so this is what I wanted right here. It is important to note that some states have limited or no laws protecting IRA savings in the case of a lawsuit. On the other hand, the best states for IRA protection in a lawsuit is Texas, Virginia, and Arizona. In Arizona, only IRA contributions made within 120 days of the lawsuit are exposed to the risk by the claimant. And it also says, although there are established distinctions between states, it is crucial to understand that the law is never clear cut. There may there may not be a straight answer for the outcome or your lawsuit, subject to the type of account, Roth IRA, traditional IRA, and so forth, right? And so I went through and I was like, well, what states are good against asset protection? I mean, against that protect the IRAs. And so um we could use Chat GPT, but there's also a thing out there for it. But we're gonna log in and we're gonna use old Chatty and let Chatty tell us. Hold on, logging in. Okay. What states protect IRAs? And let me blow that up. All right, it says the U.S. states offer strong protection for IRAs against creditors, but the extent and the conditions of the protection vary by state. So this is one of the things, they vary by state, right? So it says the states that fully protect our IRAs from creditors. So again, let's rewind while we're talking about this. If say said sibling passes away, sibling has debt, credit, whatever the case may be, sibling has a inheritance that is granted to you, or sibling has didn't have anything granted to you and it went to probate court. What protection do you have, and what protections are in place already, and what should you have gotten in place, protections in place? So again, here we go. These states fully protect IRAs from creditors, including bankruptcy and non-bankruptcy cases. Alaska, Arizona, Florida, Michigan, Missouri, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, South Carolina, and Texas. It says states with partial and conditional protection are California. California IRAs are protected only to the extent necessary for support. And let me blow that up a little bit more so y'all can see that. And then I guess I can move this down. I guess I can't. Break it down a little bit. There we go. Based on whether the account is okay. Inherited IRAs in California are not protected. Nevada up to 1 million protected. Adjusted for inflation, more may be protected if needed for support. In Colorado, IRAs are protected only to the extent reasonably necessary for support. Notice this is in italics, and who knows what that means. So you probably need to lawyer up for that. Georgia is up to 1 million protected in bankruptcy. So if you got a million in an IRA, it's protected from creditors up to a million. So and if you in Georgia and you got an IRA and it's up at 1.5 million, you need to pull that 0.5 million out and go put that in another IRA. You can have another IRA, right? But again, I'm just thinking that you want to protect yourself as much as possible. It says in Illinois, IRAs are protected in bankruptcy, but inherited IRAs are not. In Tennessee, traditional and Roth IRAs are protected up to 1 million. In Washington, IRAs are protected to the extent necessary for support, and in Pennsylvania, traditional IRAs protected, inherited IRAs are not. Right? And it says federal bankruptcy protection applies in all states. Traditional and Roth IRAs are protected up to 1.5, 1, 2, 350 of 1.5 million as of 2025. SEP and simple IRAs. Remember, SEP and simple IRAs are you self-employed IRAs. Unlimited protection, and inherited IRAs are not protected from federal are not protected federally in bankruptcy. They're not protected, and so they have a an actual table here, right? I like this little table. I take this and I'll post this. I'll download this as a PDF. Yes, the PDF, and put it in Slack, and I'll put it in creating wealth, right? But I wanted to bring that to y'all so you have that idea of wealth protection, so forth and so on, and whatnot. All right. So we covered um asset protection and asset collecting and so forth. Again, earners. I'll be coming out with this series, so stay tuned for that. I went over this fundamental at the beginning of here, still tying back into being this W-2 millionaire here. Again, talking about here when we're talking about how to protect your retirement, right? We're protecting your retirement and also your also protecting your inheritance here with the spendthrift here. And then here I was going to get into the 401k by age. I don't know if I want to do that, but this is the one I was talking about where the young lady had the 1 acre and she turned it into a 3.5 million tiny home resort. Right. And then I was going to talk about Kelsey Hightower, my story of adopting tech and finance space. But I want to bring this one up. I'm going to take this class here, Gen AI and LLM application security, because it gets into, let's look at the syllabus here, and I'll blow this up too. It gets into generative AI, large language models, and security risks, security in Gen AI applications, ML SecOps, and securing Gen AI applications lifecycle. That's going to be helpful for me for some of the things that I'm currently doing and in the future. The pricing on this one is $5,250. It looks like it's like a 3-day class for this. And they just came out with this one, so I'll be signing up for this one. I'll probably pay cash out of pocket for it. The prerequisite is you need to know Linux, some familiarity with Python and Bash, and understanding a common application attacks and vulnerabilities. This is if somebody's looking at security or looking at, hey, what's the next step in Linux or the next step outside of OpenShift, this will be one of those classes where you start to understand how to protect yourself against threats. So here they have an exercise on LLMs and prompt injection, fine tune open AI models, compromising the vector database, safe use and moderation. I mean, look and see what's the next one here. AWS Bedrock pivoting from LLMs, compromising LLMs, supply chain, lane chain security, right? And then let me go back up. I mean down. Here, life cycle, and then they have a capture the flag and so forth. Carol said we got to put it away. They can comprehend, like expressing importance of dental hygiene, for example. After being a sysadmin, should I focus on infrastructure? You already are focused, Mika. You already on focus on infrastructure and security. It's inherited. You already are doing it. You just need to figure out which part of that infrastructure stack you want to be on. Do you want to be on the networking side, the OS side, the Kubernetes side, the security side of Kubernetes? all that falls into play. You're already doing it. Don't switch. You're already doing, as a sysadmin, you're doing that already. You'll probably specialize more into it as you go along the way. More books to be thrown, probably. Probably throw a couple of books. Probably throw a couple of books. All right, so let me see. All right, so this chick right here, Jess Jess Ma. Um, I was listening to her story about being a high school dropout and then creating a $952 million company, and her flying on her own personal jet. She paid 12 million for her jet, and so forth. And you can see here, like, she comes up often. Right here. That's one of her right there, and it's and then you go back to this one here, of her, and she's on the yeah, my first million, and in the beginning of this, they are sitting in her jet. Let me see if I can show it with her sitting in her jet. Where is that at? Uh, this is that whole interview. Let me look up her name. They got her sitting in her jet with him, with Shay, with Shan. Let me see. Oh, right here. So this is her sitting in her jet. This is from 2 weeks ago. So I wanna finish this out. I'm gonna summarize it and give y'all my takes on it. What does she do? What does she do? Um, all right. Let's go to her LinkedIn. 8 companies. She built a. Won't let me do it. I don't want to log in. What is this? Let me look at this. A lawsuit look like it's about to happen. Let me look at that. Petty is as petty does. Hmm. Let me see. I'll log out of this one. Log out. Let me log in with the other one. All right. Mm-hmm. Where's my link? Oh, let me see. There was a lawsuit that was on that page. I don't know why it's not coming up. Go business. Maybe it's under tech. I don't know. I just saw it. Let me look at Business Insider. Okay. LA businesswoman investor with Me Too past filed dueling lawsuits. LA investor Jessica Ma is in a legal battle with DGB investor Justin Beck and two ex-employees. In a lawsuit, Ma accuses Callback of sexually harassing her, which he denies. The lawsuit against Ma accused her of misusing company funds, harassment, and age discrimination. This is going back to 2017. It's in Los Angeles Superior Court. Here we go. Let me see something here. If they got any articles out. Um, let me go Business Insider. I started to write Business Insider. They had I want to look up what's it called? Overemployed. See if they got any new articles out there. Right here. Here we go. 5 people who made up to 470,000 secretly juggling multiple jobs, displaying the best roles for making it work. All right. Let's see. Tom Weldon held multiple remote marketing jobs until last year when he founded LVRGD, a company that's helped people land remote roles and outsource the work, charging 3 to 5 thousand per placement. He told Business Insider. Wedding it said some of his clients aim to juggle multiple jobs at once. He said the best roles for overemployed workers tend to involve minimal meetings, low communication demands, and reputable tasks that can be done independently, such as software development, IT, and tech support jobs. And I've been telling y'all this. He added that certain marketing, sales, and creative support roles, such as video editing and graphic design, could also be that. It's best to find something that is remote, has simple repetitive workloads, and highly systemizable, said Wedding 25, who's based in Australia. Wedding is one of the more than 2 dozen job jugglers Business Insider has interviewed in the past 2 years, whose multiple roles to increase their earnings to ensure job security. While many of these workers hold tech and IT positions, others work communications, healthcare, or engineering. Right. So, what job could you work doing this? So, let's go. All right. Let's go help desk support. Let's go. Let's do entry level. I may change it to mid, but let's go only remote. Um, let's get rid of that. A level 3 technician in Tampa, Florida. Remote. Provide advanced technical support for escalated complex issues, GPOs, utilize firewall knowledge to enhance security measures, understand Wi-Fi technology, Azure, analytical skills, minimum 5 years. like they working off of Office 365. They're paying 80 to 95. Okay, you could probably do that, right? So that's one. It doesn't look like it's 24 by 70. This is with a managed service provider. So that's one. So let's go ahead and pull out our notepad here. Um, Text edit. All right. So with text edit so far, um, put this okay. Job one. Um, Level 3 IT technician, and that one's paying 80 to 95. All right. All right. So we know our rule of thumb around here, right? So our rule of thumb is this. If they paying and they paying 80 to 95, so we do 95,000 plus 80,000 and divide by 2. Their job offer is going to be we're going to say job offer, they're going to start at 87,000. Okay? You know they know it's wiggle room in there, so they're expecting you to come back and get some wiggle room, ask for more money. You know they can go up to 95K and possibly even higher. This is just what they're quoting on Indeed. They could probably go higher. They probably could go up to 100K. We don't know, but you don't know until you put your number out there. So you know, if you don't know what you don't know, right? So when I say that, meaning you're like, I don't know what to ask first. Well, you know, you shouldn't ask for nothing less than 87K. That's your start. That you shouldn't go below that. If they offering 80, you shouldn't be asking for nothing less than 87. That should be your mindset right there. Your first thing is what? 87. 87 is what you're gonna start with mentally. Then you're gonna start looking at the job description and looking at what it takes. You're gonna go through the interview process, this, that, and other, or they may ask you on the first call, hey, what you thinking? You know they can go up to 95K, so don't sell yourself short. So if you want to be on the safe side and do by 0.25, 87,000 times 25%. It's not 27,000 times 25%. Oh, okay, maybe plus 87,000. 108. So you could wiggle that and say your range is 87,000. We'll say to 109,000. That's your range. Low end, which falls in their category, and then high end, giving yourself another 25% is 109, right? So that's your range, right? So we already beaten the odds with coming in between, because what happens is if they come back and say we can't do the 109, right? And you know that's the minimum there. And then we divide that by 2. Oh man, what I mess up? 109,000 plus 87,000. Hey, what's going on here? 109,000 plus 87,000 and divide that by 2. Offer could be 98K. That's if it only falls in this range here, right? But we know that they coming. We know from Indeed it's 87 is their thing. So we want our range with 25% bump be between 87 and 109. And if they and then and if they say, well, our range isn't between 80 to 95, it's actually higher, you can know you can go ahead and ask for the 98 or 100,000 somewhere in there and see what they say. All right. All right. So that's one job. So we're gonna take this one job. We're gonna say this one job off the rip. It's gonna pay us if we're gonna be honest with ourselves because we're gonna be greedy. We're gonna say 90K on job one. All right. Then we come back over here and we're looking for more jobs that are remote, still staying in our same bracket of help desk work, right? Because you could do two help desk jobs. All right, so that was in within 25 miles. Let's go within 100 miles. All right, we got a sysadmin one right here. It's probably a Windows sysadmin, Hyper V, Windows Server. Up, this one got an on-call rotation. You may not be able to do that one because they got an on-call rotation. Now you need to find out what that on-call rotation is. Maybe it's every 2 months. Maybe they have a rotation for every 2 months, but you need to find out. Now this one could be 100 too. It could be a 90 to 100 too. All right, let me keep looking. Oracle. All right, let's go system administrator one. And let me put Linux in front of that. All right. And then let me make sure I put remote. Where is location? Here we go. I don't have remote on here. There we go. All right, there we go. Right there. Boom. Linux admin. Pop right up. 100,000. 90 to 100,000. So 95 will be the medium on this one. We know we can do this work. We don't really need to beat the dead horse about this, but they want you an ability to get a public trust, so they got some type of clearance on it. So it's okay. That's okay. All right. So Linux sysadmin 100K on that one. All right. So we got two jobs that we're gonna apply for. Then and we're gonna apply for them, right? So right now our total, if we look at it, is 190K for both jobs. Now I picked some easy jobs. Cause why? Cause you don't want all the stress in your life. You want something easy to do. Now, if you're feeling froggy, you can go get you another one and have three jobs that are easy to do. Right? This one's paying 85. Eh. This one's working with the VA. Eh. 115 to 125. Okay, let's look at it. Light work. This is light work. This is light work. This is light work. All right. So 125 plus 110, divide that by 2. 117.5, we'll go up to 118. All right. So VA job, um, 118K. All right. So let me do this 118 plus 190. This is 3 jobs. That's 308. 308,000. Right? So now the question becomes for you is time. How much time does and this is the thing is you gotta work jobs that got the same that do the same things. You can't go work a job that don't do the same things. You gotta work a job that do the same things. Cause you need to keep it easy for yourself. When you say what's the level above Froggy? Stratosphere. So 308. 3 jobs, 308. Now, um, things to consider. Who has the best insurance? Who has the best benefit package? Who costs the most? What is the size of the teams? What will be your daily tasking? How much automation can you do? That should be your thing. All right. So $308,000, right? That's what I said. 308, right? All right. So let's go back. Because you're making 308, this is all W2, remember? This is all W2. You're gonna get hit with some taxes. All right. Carol, they said they can only negotiate up to 69 cents. Is this hourly? Mika, you say I have about 2 years experience IT being an internship and 7 months role in help desk. After getting the RHA, I would be ready to apply for system. Yeah, you should have been applying to sysadmin roles while you were sitting on the help desk, even if you didn't have the RHCSA. You're studying for it, so you got to get your mind ready for it, and you got to practice the interviews. Right. So all right. So 308. Yeah. So just a rule of thumb. I'm gonna show you how these things actually come out. So one of the jobs is 100K. Yeah, you really gonna be taking home. You just multiply by point 0.7 after this. 70,000 divided by 12. Your monthly take home is 5,800 after taxes. After taxes, you're 5,800. Right. So let's keep that in mind. So 5,800 after taxes. All right. The other one we said was 118 and divide that by 12. Your monthly income 6833. 60. I'll put down 6,900. And then the other job is 90K. We say, yeah. 5250, 5300. So your monthly take home after taxes is this 5800 plus 69 plus 53. About 18,000. I'll do it in total for you so you can see it out. 5800. That's after taxes. Plus 6900. Oops. 5800. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Plus 6900 plus 5300. Oops. 18,000. So after taxes, you'll be left with 18,000. You still need to put away from your 401k, so forth and so on. So 18,000 a month, is that doable? Now you can get this in one job. I'm just showing you those that are like, hey, I'm just working help this. How do I get to the 200,000? You can do it by working multiple jobs, right? Now, do they frown upon this? Some people do, some people don't. If you know you can't do your work, if you know what one job is hard for you, don't do two jobs. If you know you don't have any discipline on getting up and being places on time, don't do two jobs. Don't waste somebody's time, right? And last but not least, don't waste anybody's time if you gonna half it. Like if you ain't gonna show up, you ain't gonna do what you need to do. You ain't gonna you're not contributing to none of the conversations. You're not gonna log in the Slack. You're not gonna log in the Teams. You're not gonna sit down and do. What's the point? Why you showing up? Don't waste my time. This not wasting my time, boy. No, don't waste my time. Right? Because in the end, you only hurting yourself. You hurt the team, but you really hurting yourself. Now, if you're not going, if you're not going to do the work and you're not going to show up to the meetings, at least be present when they ask something of you. At least be present. Right? At least be present. Right? Now, before we get out of here, I just want to make sure that I covered everything. Let me look at my notes. Yeah, I have to come back to those videos or whatnot. And oh yeah, I did want to go over this. Um, the what is Instruct Lab? Instruct Lab. So Instruct Lab is an open source project for enhancing large language models. This is from Red Hat. Used in generative AI applications created by IBM and Red Hat. The community project provides a cost-efficient solution for improving the alignment of LLMs and open doors for those with minimal machine learning experience to contribute. So you may want to go check this out. I'll post this in the RHCSA group, so you guys can take play with it and get familiar with it. But it's just something I thought that as we start marching towards AI and so forth, you guys get an idea of like how to learn, right? How to learn, how can you use Linux and AI together and start learning these things as well. Yeah, I dropped it in there. All right, would it be better tax wise? Yeah, it'll be much better tax wise if it was 1099. So let's go back over that if it was 1099, right? So if it was 1099, that whole FICA, the whole nine, that goes away. Not I ain't gonna say it go away. You just get a chance to write things off, right? Really, you'll be getting paid 90,000, and it'll just be divided by 12, and so you'll be getting paid 7,500 a month. You'll get the gross, but you got to account for your taxes. Now, how do you account for your taxes, right? You got to remember you're sitting at you're either putting this under a business or you're putting this under your social security number. So how do you account for taxes with this? Now remember, now our gross total is 308,000 for all three jobs. 308,000 for all three jobs. The question becomes is, what are you going to do to protect, again, the money that you're making? What are you going to do to protect the money that you're saving? And what are you going to do to protect the assets that you're probably going to start collecting, right? Um, and I know this, you probably thought this was like a weird stream today, but they all correlate with each other, from starting back to our premise here with wealth accumulation, wealth transfer, skills for higher paying jobs, networking, branding, company picking, and asset protection and collecting. That's all this stems from. Like I said, for the earners, I'll be coming out with this series. I'll talk more about it as we go on. But just keep in mind as you all continue to march forward, right? And you continue to grow your assets, you continue to grow your wealth, and you can continue to grow just as a person. Everybody's not going to come with you. Everybody isn't going to understand what you're doing. Um, you could take the time to show them, but after you show them maybe once or twice, you got to let it go. Some people just like to be stuck, and you just got to leave them where they're at. What's going on before the billions? What's going on, Kelvin? How you doing? How y'all doing out there? Heather, what up? All right, y'all have fun, and remember, don't do the Shannon Sharp out here. All right, y'all. Y'all be